It's time for theme number two. Two. Let's do this. All right, guys. So, as you know, it is Friday, and every Friday we have a special guest with us. And many times it is one of you, and today is no exception. I am so happy and delighted to be able to bring on our next guest. And many of you will know her name, but maybe you haven't put a face to a name. So, let's do it right now. Here we go, Miss Janet Rankin. Hello, Janet.
Hi. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
How are you, Janet?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Now, we're gonna let everyone know that Janet is kind of out in the great outdoors, right? Should I say that, Janet? And so the internet may be a little choppy, but we're going to do the best we can.
It's a little slow. There's like a lag.
There's a little bit of a lag. So we're all going to be very patient because we cannot wait to hear from you. So many of you may recognize Janet's name because she was kind of the one who started spearheading that amazing quilt for me. And I seriously get choked up even just wanting to talk about it. And I can't thank you enough, Janet, for what you did.
You're welcome. And I'm sure all the other girls out there want you to know just how much you mean to us. And hopefully that quilt gives you lots of love and joy.
It does. Every
same
single
way you give
day.
it to us.
Well, thank you, Janet. It was so incredibly sweet of you and of everyone out there who participated. I just honestly, I can't thank you enough. So you have such a big heart. There are so many amazing things that you do day in and day out. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and where you're from? Tell us maybe a little bit about your family.
I live in Missouri and have lived here my whole life. My husband and I have been married for 42. Bell. It's a little bitty town just north of Rolla.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I have that Missouri accent that goes with it.
There you go. And you and your husband have been married
my husband and I have been
42?
42 years.
Wow.
And we built our house and we moved in and we've been here ever since.
Wow.
We live on a century farm.
Tell us what a century farm is. That because it's so many years?
Yes. It's been in my husband's family for over 100 years, and it's been passed down from one person to the other.
Wow. So what happens if, like, do you have a sibling? Like one person wants the farm?
Right. It just gets like my husband's mother and father inherited from her mother.
Wow.
And it just gets passed down through the generations. And my husband and I have 2 sons. And so it will be passed down to them.
So you live on the farm?
On the farm.
On the farm. And what do you do on the farm? What kind of farm is this?
Well, we raised cattle.
Okay.
We didn't do any crops, but we've raised cattle. And we're both retired now. And my husband doesn't want to mess with it. So we more or less rent it out. And my son, he has... Say that again?
I bet it's just beautiful out there.
It is. Missouri is a really pretty place.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the unique things that we discussed before we came on was the fact that a few of the acres that we own were traded for a couple of quilts.
Yes, tell everyone this story because this blows my mind. I love it. I love it. Okay, share.
I just know that when we got the deed, you go back and it tells that so many acres, and I don't remember because it's been a while since I've looked at it, were traded for 2 or 3 quilts.
They valued quilts. They
Yes.
valued them, didn't they?
Yes.
That boy, a few acres for a couple of quilts. I could probably do that.
Yeah. I'd like to
That's
do that
amazing.
now.
Yeah, exactly. What would that be like, right, Janet?
We
Oh my
we would we would probably own our own zip code.
yeah. True. No truer words were ever spoken. I
Yes.
love it. Oh my gosh, that's so true. How fun to be able to see that in the deed.
Yes. That's
I
one
bet
thing that always just really surprised me, that that quilts were really valued back then. So
yes, it's very true. Absolutely. I think that's amazing. So it looks like you have a friend on here right now, Kathy Stack.
yes, Kathy.
And she said that you have lots of birds and other critters. Tell us about that.
Oh yes, I feed the birds. So we have the hummingbirds are just flying everywhere today, and
Wow.
I have yellow finches, and we used to have dogs, but in the
Okay.
country, our dogs more or less died of old age, and we haven't gotten a dog recently.
Mm-hmm.
So the last few years, I guess the last 2 or 3 years without a dog. Now we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing the groundhogs and the raccoons and the
Oh,
possums. They just more or less are come right up. I mean, they can be on the deck or
mm-hmm.
whatever, or the deer. I mean, deer walk
Mm-hmm.
through the front yard because we don't have a dog or anything to chase them off anymore. So
So what do you do? Do you
just watch them.
are you thinking about getting another dog?
I would, yes, I would like to have another dog.
You do you want a 3-month-old lab puppy?
As a matter of fact, I would take her because I
I'm
had
about to startle.
we had 3 labs at one time and a Pyrenees,
Oh my
and
goodness. Mhm.
so I love labs, and
I
I've
know.
seen
I
your
do
dog.
too.
I'd take
I
her
do
in a
too.
heartbeat.
Oh, even when they chew your shoes and everything else.
Yes, yes,
I keep saying it'll get better, Kris. It will get better.
yeah.
Oh no, that's great. That's great, Janet. So how when did you start sewing?
Uh, I started sewing when I was little. I can remember my
Mhm.
grandmother getting embroidery, hand embroidery, like the
Mm,
Aunt Martha
sure.
or the Jack Dempsey uh,
Yeah.
things, and
Mhm.
so I learned handwork from my grandmother, and my mother she sewed clothes more or less.
Uh-huh.
I
Mhm.
always tried to sew clothes, but then I'd put them on and oh, I didn't like it, and it ended up in the trash can. I was like, I ain't, I have no patience
No.
for this
Yeah,
sewing thing.
I'm right
No
there with
patience.
you.
And I think
Uh-huh.
as we get older, we get more patience, or we learn patience.
Yeah,
And
there you
so
go.
now it's really relaxing. It's almost therapeutic to sit
Mm.
down and sew. And
Mhm.
especially when you have friends like Kathy and, the other ones I'm sure that are on here
Yeah.
just watching me today.
Yeah,
Uh,
it looks like
you,
Pat is a friend of yours too.
yes. And we
Shout
all
out to
just
Pat.
get together and sew together. And I don't think that changed through the years, because I can remember I lived with my grandmother for 3 years. She had dementia. And
Mm.
so we pieced a quilt. That was my first quilt I ever made. I was
Oh,
probably 18 or 19, and it was in the 70s.
oh, I love
So
that.
orange and brown were a big color
Yes. Oh, yeah.
combination back then.
Those were the colors
So
of my bedroom. Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we my grandmother says, well, we have to quilt it now. So she in her little living room, she put up the quilt on the quilt on her stand, and
Mm-hmm.
all the ladies came and
Uh-huh.
they quilted.
Yeah.
And I did not want to do it because I didn't want to ruin it, and they go, oh no, oh no, you have to quilt on your own quilt. So I quilted, and to this day you can see the big stitches in the back of that quilt, but that's where I quilted.
But you did
So
it. You did it.
I did it.
You
I
you
did
know,
it.
that's what so many did for, was that was like the quilting bee, and everyone would gather around and they would do their stitches together, and that's when women would talk and laugh and cry and all those things together. And I think there's some really special memories with that, and there's a lot to be said for that.
And that part of quilting has not changed. I mean, if you
Mhm.
get together with your girlfriends today, you're
Mhm.
still
Exactly.
sharing what's
Mhm.
going on in your life, and
Yeah,
that's the therapy behind it. So
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. That's why it's so important that we still take those things that we learned from years ago and what they did, and it's still valuable to us now. And we see how
Hmm.
important it is to have friends. And now we just things might look a little different. We might do things more virtual, but aren't we grateful we have that opportunity? I would never have a chance to
Yeah.
have met you, Janet, had it not been for this. So, and you have blessed
Right.
my life, and so it's it's
And
it's really amazing.
and you have blessed my life. And all the girls out there, that everybody that tunes into 3 at 3,
Mhm.
we all we that's it just goes back like we're in a big quilting
I know.
or
Big quilt
sewing
bee.
therapy.
I know.
Yes.
Love
Yeah.
it. I love it. So, Janet, now, so you have, 2 sons, and tell us about your grandchildren.
I have two sons. One is
Mhm,
married and has 4 children. Noah is the oldest grandson, and he's
mhm,
14.
mhm.
And then there's Levi, who takes a lot after his grandmother, and he just turned 6. And then
Uh-huh.
they have identical twin daughters, which
Oh
are
my
just
goodness.
a lots of fun to watch twins
Yeah, yeah.
uh, play
Oh boy,
together.
you're
Yeah,
trouble.
yeah,
Poor mom and dad. They
double
don't know
trouble.
what's coming. Double trouble. Have no idea what's coming ahead for them. No, I'll
they
tell you.
call, and I either babysit or the other grandma Leanne babysits. So they've got
Oh,
babysitters.
that's so sweet. And so, how old are they?
They will be 3 in October.
Oh, oh my
So
goodness.
yeah,
Do you know it?
yeah.
Yeah, I always say I don't know what it's like not to be a twin, but I count being a twin as one of the greatest blessings of my life. And those 2 little girls will always have a built-in best friend for their whole lives. It's pretty special.
Yes, I agree, and you can see that when they play, when
Mhm.
they take nap. It's always togetherness.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Well, we have some pictures that you sent to me that I would love to bring up and have you tell us a little bit more about them. All right. So, the first one I'm going to show is this one. Tell us about this quilt.
That quilt is also the quilt that is behind me, and it hangs
Mm,
in my living room. and it's in a friend of mine's book. Her name is Toby Lishko. I always can never pronounce it right, but it's the name of the book is Kaleidostars, and she came to our guild, and she taught us how to do her technique. And I was one of the lucky ones that my quilt got picked to be in her book. So
wow, that's amazing. And that's the one that's right behind you?
yeah, that's the one that's kind of hangs on the
Oh
wall.
my goodness, that's gorgeous. That is stunning. Wow, that's a lot of intricate piecing there, Janet. Wow.
It is, but it's like any other quilt. You just take it one seam at a time.
That's right. That's right. But look
it's
how you
nothing is hard.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. No, you're absolutely right. Look at the way you fussy cut those flowers. That's impressive.
That is part of her technique she teaches.
Wow.
So, and then each flower, let's see if you can see, is different. It reminds me of a stack and whack, only you do fussy cut. You don't basically stack the layers on top of each other and then cut.
Because you have to really see it, right?
Yeah, you have she has the little ruler she has, and you actually find your place. And if you have a mirror, the double mirrors, you can run that along your fabric, and you can kind of see the kaleidoscope. Well, you can stop, and then you put your ruler in there that she has, and of course it's clear, and then you cut that piece out, and then you find that same exact pattern in your fabric, and you cut, what is it, 6 of them, 1, 2, 8 of them maybe, to make a star. Yeah.
So you're using that mirror, double-sided mirror, so you can see the repeat, right? What the repeat is going to look like.
Correct.
Something that Sue Daly, have you ever done anything with Sue Daly? She's kind of known for that too. And she does it with English paper piecing.
I've done a few. I've done several stack and wax, and the one block wonder. I'm working on that. Where they take. We took. Kathy, my friend, she started. We got panels. We got. You buy 7 panels, I think it is, and you stack 6 panels exactly on top of each other.
Wow.
And you cut those out. It's called the one block wonder. I'm sure if you got on Pinterest.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was just thinking that maybe I'll have Barb put that on our class list in the fall, because the one block wonder, I have seen some incredible quilts with. It's just amazing.
Yes. And then your 7th panel, usually they will put in the quilt, and then they put all the kaleidoscope blocks they cut out around it. They're really pretty. If you get a chance, you go on Pinterest, and you'll see all kinds.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah, we'll definitely put something together. I love that idea. Okay, let's bring up, tell us about this picture.
Oh, that's the book it's in.
This is the book it's in.
Okay.
So if anyone's interested in this, take a screenshot, take a picture on your phone, and you can see the book that it's from. Kaleidostars. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Kaleidostars?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's got lots of different star blocks in there.
Yes. And Toby teaches all kinds of different techniques.
How fun. I love that. And you said she lives near you?
Well, near to me is like maybe 50 miles or less.
I get it. I totally get that. Yeah. She's a local. We practically are neighbors.
Yeah, she just lives down the ways a piece.
Yeah. If you need a cup of sugar, you're going over to Toby's house.
Yeah.
50 miles down the road. No, I get that.
Well,
That's great.
if I need fabric, I'm going to Toby's house because she's
Yeah,
got
yeah, there
pulls
you
of
go.
fabric.
Oh, I'm sure she does. I'm sure. Okay, so this quilt is gorgeous. This is a Bargello Heart. Tell us about this.
That is a quilt I made for my son when he and my daughter-in-law when they got married. And I
Mm-hmm.
just loved it because it was like two hearts that came together. And
Mm,
in our family, we always when you get married, you get a quilt. When you have a baby, you get a quilt. And
mm-hmm.
so when I found this pattern, uh, I just had to make it. And some of the little pieces are no bigger than a penny because I
Oh
took
my
one
goodness
picture at a
gracious.
time,
Oh,
and they're as big as a penny. But and then
mm-hmm.
on the back of it, to make it even more special, I you have to put a quilt label. And so I took a
Yeah.
picture of their wedding invitation and
Oh, what a
everything
great
that was that
idea.
day, and put that on my quilt label. So
Yeah. Wow, I mean, that is just stunning, Janet. Oh my goodness.
thank you.
So, yeah. So, who were they that you made this for? They were definitely quilt worthy, right?
My son and daughter-in-law. Yes, they're quilt
Okay,
worthy.
okay. They deserved it. Yeah. Oh my
They're
goodness.
actually blood quilt worthy
Yeah,
by
okay,
blood.
okay. We'll do that because that is one of those quilts you just don't make for just anyone. But
Right, right.
I I love that it has those two hearts that come together as one. That's really, really beautiful. And
Yeah,
I
I
love,
go ahead.
no, I just love what you did with their wedding invitation.
Yes, I figured if I put a quilt label on it. Of course, it was a nice quilt label, and I forget what I put on it. It was more or less, for you on your wedding day,
Sure.
and I with my labor of love, and then I had to put my husband in there who funded the project.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, give a shout out to Mr. Rankin, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I love it. I love that. Okay, so now I cannot wait for you to tell us about this. There's got to be a story to this. We have three different pictures from different
Uh,
angles. What in the world is happening here? I love it.
oh, this is the quilted car. We were having a quilt show, and we were laughing and carrying on about, well, how do you get people to come to the quilt show? And I said, we need to make a quilted car. I'm an
Oh my
instigator, can
goodness.
you tell?
Yes, you are.
So,
A
so one
quilted
thing led,
car?
yes, it's a four singer car.
Oh
Do
my
you see
goodness.
the four singer sewing machines on the hood?
Yes.
It's a four
Yes.
singer car. And then there's a lady that is she's setting it. The driver is doing the treadle machine, and of course she's got her cat and dog.
Oh my goodness. That is a lot of work, Janet.
Yes, but it was a lot of fun, and our quilt show is always in October, and
Uh-huh.
the so being a retired nurse, I had to also bring in the fact that it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
So we had one side of the car is dedicated to people. Some of the women in the guild made blocks of people they knew
Oh,
that had breast cancer.
I
And
love
so
that.
we put that on there just
I
to
love that.
remind women that, you need to get screened. So
That's right. Well, what a beautiful reminder to everyone. And oh my goodness, and that was just amazing. So amazing.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, you and I were talking about this earlier. You were talking about the importance of women being screened for breast cancer, but there was also something else you've done in your life that led you to from nursing to radio. Tell us about that.
Oh, I was an endoscopy nurse for 11
Mm-hmm.
years, head of the
Mm-hmm.
department, and I got into uh, how do you get people to come in and get screened? Because that's not something somebody wants to do. To come
Mm-hmm.
in, first of all,
Right.
to prep for this procedure, and then to come in and bear all to have the procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I had found one of the things I had found online was a group of young people. They were in their teens and early 20s who had colon
Mm-hmm.
cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were out there trying to get people and doctors to listen to the fact that, colon cancer just isn't an old person's
Mm-hmm.
disease.
Right.
Anyone can get it. So
Sure.
I started communicating online with them, and they put out what at the time what they called a colander, which was a 12-month calendar, and each month was someone in their early 20s or teens that had colon cancer.
Wow.
And so they said because a lot of doctors just figured, they're too young to get colon cancer. So they
Mm-hmm.
wrote it off as something else, might be hemorrhoids or something else.
Mm-hmm.
So they really didn't do their colonoscopy as soon as they
Mm-hmm.
should have. So I
Mm-hmm.
actually bought calendars and I laid them on the desk at work, and the doctors come in and they started looking. She goes, "These people are young." And I said, "Yes, I've talked to these people, and these
Mm-hmm.
people want you to realize as doctors that when they come in and they have a bleeding or a problem, that you need to listen to them."
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so we
Wow.
had one person come in, and he was 20, in his early 20s, and he
Mm-hmm.
had pretty advanced colon cancer already.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the nurses I work with, it was actually her brother-in-law, and he ended up losing his life to colon cancer. And that
Mm-hmm.
just made the rest of the nurses in my group want to go out. And so we would do health fairs, we would do
Mm-hmm.
radio, we would say, and I would get on and talk about, that it's important. You people don't die of embarrassment, but they do die of colon cancer. And I would tell them, if you come in, we will make sure, that you get tested, and this it's very important. And
Mm-hmm.
so we found a lot then, and some younger people. And so I've always been an advocate of that. And then, of course, when we did the quilted core, we always did it in October. Well, October's breast cancer. So let's
Right.
throw that in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
my
What a
my
great what a
nursing
great
kind of
service.
runs with my quilting.
Mm-hmm. Hand in hand.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What a great service you offer to so many people. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, what would you recommend to all of us who are watching today?
That if you, well, right now the age is 45. If you're 45 and you
Mm-hmm.
haven't been screened for colon cancer, please get screened,
Mm,
because then uh, and I tell that because or if you're having bleeding, if bleeding is coming from somewhere that it's not supposed to, there's something wrong. Now, I'm
right.
not saying it's always a bad thing, but
Yeah.
you need to get
Sure.
checked out. It's your body, and the sooner you find it, the sooner you can
Right.
do something about it,
Not
and
knowledge is power.
it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I go back and say that my father-in-law had colon cancer, and at the time my husband was 46. And I said, that's it, you're getting screened. So
Mm-hmm.
being the nurse, I made the appointment and
Yes,
got
of
him in there,
course.
and he goes, I do not want to do this. And I said, okay, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but the worst part's over. You've drank all the stuff. So
Yeah.
he went in, and it's a good thing he did, because he had a precancerous polyp that was
Mm,
huge, but
wow.
the cancer, and it was on like a stalk, and
Wow.
the cancer hadn't come down through the stalk.
Right.
So anyway, knowing that, now he gets screened willingly
Mm-hmm.
every
Mm-hmm.
time. And my sons, I said, if your dad had it at 46 and your grandfather had it in his,
Yeah.
70s and 80s, you
Right.
need to be screened probably when you're 30. So both
Wow.
boys have been screened, and one of them did have
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
precancerous polyp. So,
Wow.
uh, and they've taken it out. And so, yeah, it's screening saves lives, and
Absolutely.
it really does.
Absolutely.
So,
I'm so grateful you shared that message with us today. Thank you. Thank
yes.
you. And yeah, Tina said ignoring symptoms doesn't make them go away. And that's so true,
No.
right? It
And
doesn't.
and it's a slow growing cancer. So if
Mm-hmm.
you can catch it early,
Yeah.
right now we have the technology to take those polyps out right through the
Mm-hmm.
scope while they're in there. It doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They give you really good medicine, you're asleep,
Sure.
it's over,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. You go on with your life. When I
Yeah.
started nursing, if uh they weren't able to take it out through the scope,
Yeah. Wow.
and they had to go to surgery. So everything has just changed so much. Technology is just so
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, it is. It is.
So
How wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Janet. That is really, really so important. And I feel like, we have this audience that's right here listening, watching. And from what you share today, if you can help one person to have that
mhm.
little prod to say, you know what, I better go do something, then it will have been worth it for you to have shared that message. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank-
A lot of people on here know people who have it, have had it, have passed away from it. So I think it touches each and every one of us. So I appreciate you sharing that message for sure. For sure.
well,
Well, go ahead.
there's a kind of a lag. So
Yeah,
sometimes I want to answer, but then you kind of kick in, and so
I know.
that's that's
No,
the
you
fun of
go
living
ahead.
in the country.
That's right. You go on ahead, Janet. What did you want to say?
I don't remember now.
Okay. I know it happens to me all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's
I call it mental pause.
there you go. I like that mental pause. I love it. Oh, before we end today, I want to share with everyone one last picture I thought was quite cute that you sent me. Tell us about this.
Ah, those are my ironing board ladies.
What?
I figure that we had to have someone that drove the car. So at the quilt show, those are ironing boards,
Oh
and
my
so
goodness, Janet.
I just made them up, and their arms are rulers, and they
Ah,
bend, and then behind their hand is a magnet, so you can pose them. You can
oh
pose
my!
them.
You made those up?
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. You are incredibly talented and so clever.
I'll
Those,
just
those
like
are
my friends say,
adorable.
Janet, Janet, you're just full of it.
Man, talk about hot flashes they must have.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh my goodness, ironing board covers. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Oh my gosh, too funny, Janet. That's awesome. Oh, it has been so much fun to get to know you better today. Thank you so much for being my guest.
Well, thank you.
I
Thank
think
you
the
for
world of you.
having me.
You're
And
welcome.
this has just been so much fun. And if you're out there, for God's sakes, just call Kris and get your name on the list.
Yes, please do. Please do. Thank you, Janet, for the plug.
Help this girlfriend out.
I need some more 3 at 3ers, so please. That would be wonderful. Thank you, Janet. Hey, before we end today, we always like to leave with what life advice has served you well. Would you mind sharing that with us?
Well, as a nurse and a mother, I always say go with your gut. If you're, and women know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If your gut is telling you something, you need to listen to it. And of
Absolutely.
course, that's just one piece of advice. I'm sure that if we sat here and talked enough, I could give you a whole lot more of my advice.
I think you've got some good advice. Lots of good advice. But go with your gut, huh?
Go with your gut.
Go with your gut. I think that's very, very true. It has been such a pleasure to have you here today, and it's really not that bad, is it?
Oh no, this is a lot of fun. I mean, I have wanted to meet you so bad. I have followed you since the DIY dish, and then I met up with you this last year, and I want to meet you so bad, but maybe one day. Big twitchy nose.
Yeah. Thank you, Janet. I love you.
Thank you. I love
That
you
was
too,
really
Kris.
sweet. Thank you. All right.